guys, and welcome back to another episode of Should You Make It? I am a little more curious than I am excited, I guess. I think my daughter's a little more excited than I am. I'm just more curious because summer is here and you think of hot dogs, hamburgers, cookouts, barbecues. This one came across on Facebook feed, but I think everything that I see on my Facebook feed comes from Pinterest. This was a bacon cheeseburger soup. So I'm more curious about this one than I am excited. I guess I am a little excited, but I'm more curious than anything. I think I've seen this before a couple of years ago. So I'm just a little curious about this one. Like I said, my daughter's really excited about this. So we'll go into the ingredients. I'll leave all of the exact measurements, but pretty much we've got some bacon, butter, garlic and onion powder, pepper, we've got some smoked paprika, we've got some cumin, chili powder, beef broth, we've got mustard, tomato paste, not ketchup, but tomato paste. Very curious about that one. We've got our ground beef, we've got some diced up pickles, we've got some cream cheese, some whipping heavy cream, and we've got some shredded cheese. Now we'll need 2 pans for this, and that's basically it. I was curious to why there wasn't a pot. So like to make soup you use a pot. So just some pans. So very curious, like I said, very, very curious. So our first step is to get set up with one of our pans. We're going to have both pans. We're going to set up with one, and our first step is to start cooking our bacon. So we're going to do that, get set up, and start cooking our bacon, and then we'll be back. Okay, so the first step is to cook your bacon in the pan, which Brittany's doing. And once all your bacon is cooked, you're just going to remove it from the pan, and you're going to leave the bacon grease in there, and you're going to cook your ground beef in the bacon grease, which sounds amazing. So that's what she's going to do. And once she has I think once she has the ground beef going, then I'll start my step, and I have my pan set right here. And that step is to stick your butter into that pan, and then I have the spices. And essentially what we're going to do is we're going to toast our spices for about 45 seconds. And then we'll start adding the cheese, mustard, and cream cheese. And then we're just going to cook that until the cream cheese is completely melted. And what I did is I set the cream cheese out overnight to come to room temp, so it makes it easier. So just because it only takes about 45 seconds to toast our seasonings, that's why I'm going to wait until she's got the ground beef going, because that won't take about 45 seconds. And since the cream cheese is already room temp, it's not going to take much for that to melt. So that's why I'm going to wait so long to start that. And then the last step in the back, we have our pickles and our heavy cream. So I'll wait for that. And that's the last step. And then we're just going to combine all of it into our pan. Not a pot, a pan. Odd. So, like I said, she's over there working away on the bacon. And then, like I said, leave that bacon grease in there because we're going to cook the ground beef in the bacon grease. Yum. So just be super careful when you add your ground beef to that bacon grease, because it will pop. Just like that. Oh, baby. Oh boy, does it smell heavenly in here. So, onto the ground beef. So, I'm going to go ahead and start with my butter in the pan, and then adding all of the spices to get those start toasting. Okay, something we found odd about the recipe was we were a bit concerned, I guess, about the amount of grease that's left behind from the bacon and also the ground beef, was if we were to drain it or leave it in there. So I went back to see if I read all of the instructions and everything right, and I did, but there's no instructions about leaving it in there, draining it, or what have you. So I kind of found some pictures on another, I guess, post, but it shows it in a pot, not a pan, and it shows leaving the grease in there, chopping up the bacon, adding the bacon to that, and just leaving it. But it, like I said in the very beginning, I was shocked that it wasn't in a pot versus a pan. So they did use a pot and left that in there. So that's what we're going to go off of now and doing that and leave that there. And I'm going to go ahead and start with the butter and the spices in this one, and she's just mixing the bacon, the crumbled bacon now, into that. So that's what we're going to do now. Okay, so I got the spices in there and I toasted those for about 45 seconds. Now I'm adding the mustard and the tomato paste. And I'm going to add the cream cheese and the shredded cheese. And again, I'm just going to do that until the cream cheese is all melted. And then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so I added in the beef broth and the shredded cheese. And I switched over to a whisk because the spatula wasn't working very well. So I'm just going to let this cook. And it says to let it cook for approximately 5 minutes. And as you can tell, even with the cream cheese at room temp, it's still in clumps. So, but good theory. So I'm just going to whisk this, and I have my stovetop about medium high. So I'm just going to stir this for approximately, it says 5 minutes or so, and let this cream cheese melt and incorporate the spices. And then our last step is to add our heavy cream and our pickles. And then mix in our ground beef and our bacon, and then we'll be back. Okay, so it took a little longer, like maybe 5 minutes longer than 5 minutes suggested, for the cream cheese to be dissolved, but it did. So now we're going to add in our heavy cream. Ooh, beautiful.
Looks so cool.
And our pickles. We've got diced and make a mess. That's okay. It's gonna be an awkward mess. I do have to say though, now I do a lot of reviews that, you know, have turned out and are really good reviews. So I'm frustrated, but I'm also excited to see one that hasn't turned out like perfect. And what I mean by perfect is like the steps are flawed, and you know, everything you think that's going to go right hasn't gone right. So I'm glad to bring you guys one that isn't, you know, 100% all perfection and all that good stuff. So a little tweaks here and there. I'm finally glad to see one that isn't perfect and all fun and happy and smiles and glitter and yay.
It definitely wasn't yay.
No, it wasn't. Hasn't been. Okay, so we got the cream. We got the pickles in. Looks as good as it's gonna get, that's for sure. So we'll go over here to Brittany's amazing pan of bacon and ground beef. And we'll go ahead and we'll add that in and try not to splatter everything, including the grease that you're not supposed to drain apparently, and get that all in there.
The instructions were very vague.
Very confusing, very...
She didn't even tell you to crumble the bacon, but in the pictures she showed the bacon was crumbled.
But in all honesty, that those weren't her pictures. That
really?
Yeah, that was another person who did a similar dish, and that showed crumbling and leaving the grease in there too. So
that looks like bacon cheeseburger
soup and whatnot. So give that a good mix, as you know, one would guess with grease. It's gonna settle on the top because that's the heaviest. So give that a good mix in there. Not the most appetizing looking thing in the world.
It smells really good though.
It does. It smells like a bacon cheeseburger, which is so odd. It
It's exciting.
yeah, well, yeah, it's exciting for you because you get to try it. But it plays tricks with your mind because it's like, what are you looking at? Liquid cheeseburger. Bacon cheeseburger. Wow. So we'll stir it. I'm going to turn the heat off because every element is warm and hot. So we're going to let this rest for a few minutes and then serve up a bowl for Brittany to try and then let you guys know what in the world this is all about. Okay, so
That's how it turned out. It looks so good. As you can see, I kind of had some. Oops. But it is so good. It tastes almost exactly how it smells. The mustard and the pickles have a nice acidity, but then the creams balance it out and make it really mellow. And just the chunks of the meat and the bacon are perfect. I did my bacon a little crispy, so they give it a nice texture with the crunch of the pickles. And it's just awesome. It's so good. And you taste all the paprika and the cumin. It tastes and smells like a burger place in here.
That is amazing. It does. It does smell like a bacon cheeseburger.
It was so weird. As soon as I put it in my mouth, I was like, what's happening? It's so weird, but it was so good.
She sprinkled a little extra cheese on top too.
I did.
Yes.
Oops.
Little
It
extra.
fell in.
Thank you for trying.
Thank you for making it. It was so good, Mom.
You're welcome.
It was a little bit of a struggle to get there, and there was a little bit of arguing. But we got here, and it's good.
Yes. R&D, people. R&D. All the time. Do it.
Do it.
So thank you guys again for sticking with us. This one was a great one. It was a whole whirlwind of a lot of things, of how it's a perfect example. And I feel a lot of Pinterest recipes that I try, those are the ones that I run into the issue of whether it's the instructions that aren't exactly what they should be, that I have to do a little finagling with either adding things or doing a lot of digging into how other people have made it, or just a lot of arguing between my daughter and I, or myself. Arguing with myself and figuring it out. But that's what I like to bring to you guys. Not every single recipe that I do turns out great. And that's what I like to bring to you guys so you guys can see maybe it's not the right thing, or there are ways that you can, find ways to make it so it does turn out. And maybe that's something that you guys like to add to it, or that maybe I can add that you guys might like, or something like that. So that's why I love doing what I do, so you guys can see how to make it or not. Who knows? I don't know. But thank you guys again for tuning in, and stay tuned for the next episode of Should You Bake It. Very excited about this one, guys. Very excited.
Woohoo!
So we'll see you soon. Bye.